All right, welcome to the Canarian International Meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Mossy and I am an alcoholic.
And my name is Mick, and I am an alcoholic, and both serving as your secretary today. Please join us in the moment's silence to remember the still suffering alcoholic, both inside and outside this meeting.
And Kira is going to read the preamble for us.
The original version of the current preamble, as it was first introduced to AA in June 1947. Great, fine. So Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experiences, strength and hope with each other that may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is an honest desire to stop drinking. AA has no dues or fees. It is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to encourage in any controversy, neither endorse nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics in achieving sobriety.
Thank you, Kira.
Okay.
A very warm welcome goes out to any newcomers or anyone returning to Alcoholics Anonymous.
The chat is now disabled until the end of the meeting, except for the meeting host. If you feel the meeting security is at risk at any time during the meeting, please private message one of the co-hosts so they can check it out.
Thank you, Mick. And our speaker today, we go straight into our speaker. Our speaker today is Brendan. He's a long time sober and he's here to share his experience, strength and hope with us today. So Brendan, you have 45, 50 minutes, whatever suits you.
Okay, I don't think I'll have that long, but we'll see how we get on.
You do what the famous last words.
No problem. My name is Brendan. I'm an alcoholic, and a privilege to be on here this evening. And nice to know a few people on there as well. And yeah, blessed to have found this lovely fellowship. I'm living in a beautiful home here with a beautiful wife, and yeah, we raised our family in here, and I've done all that because of Alcoholics Anonymous, and none of this would have happened had I not found Alcoholics Anonymous. I won't go too far into what it was like, but I will tell a bit of it, just for identification. And I would imagine we're all as bad as each other. Our own stories, the worst we'll hear, because we're the ones that had to experience it. And I'm blessed. I've been here for 47 years and it's sober in this lovely program. So I've been here a long time. I've lived the life inside. And I came in as a 21-year-old lad, my first meeting, and thankfully got sober at age 22. And that's great for young people on here this evening to think, what, you can get sober at that age and still have a life. I'll tell you, I've had the most fantastic life, really have. And you can contrast that with the life I had before that, like, you know, and we hear all different things in the fellowship about, don't look at the past and forget about the past. It's all about today and tomorrow and all that sort of a thing. Like, for me, I like to be reminded when I hear someone's chair of actually, when you tell me how good your life is today and against what, like, you know, compared to what is how I would look at it, like, you know. So again, we've all different ideas. And for some people, if they've been around for a long time, they say it's a few days or it's a few 24 hours, which doesn't tell you an awful lot, really, like, you know. So I have no problem in saying this lovely fellowship has given me 47 years of a precious life with all its ups and downs. And that's what I've learned inside here, like, that life is full of ups and downs and twists and turns and pain and heartache and all the stuff that everyone else gets in life, whether they're alcoholic or not, like, you know. That's the kind of way I can, any little bit of maturity I've got today, like, it's not my tongue for anything when it happens, like, you know. It's just life on life terms, I suppose. A phrase I hated hearing at one time, but how true it is, like, you know, life on life's terms. So I just got to get through the day, and all I do it a day at a time to save as everyone else. Thank God the compulsion to drink left me certainly over 40 years ago, I would imagine, since I've had a compulsion to drink, like. And I take care of business. I go to regular meetings. I've done that up since I've come in, really. More so in the very early days. And I was doing 10, 15 meetings a week. I was a single lad for the first year. And It was lovely. I felt that safety of being in AA, like, you know, but sobriety came a little bit later. Dryness came first, and that's great. Dryness is great. It gets us on the road, like, you know, and had all sorts of battles with, I suppose, 22 years of age. You think, God, this for the rest of my life. And it didn't seem to be anyone, I'm sure there was plenty of people my age up in London and that, like, but where I was living, there didn't seem to be many people my age. Like, so those lovely people kind of held on to me. And if I look back now in the journey, like what made the difference in my early days was the people I met, the people who nurtured me, looked after me, gave me Sunday dinners, invited me to their homes, picked me up for meetings, all that lovely stuff. And I never knew these people till I met them at the meetings, like, you know, and they accepted me for who I was, like, they accepted me for what I shared at the meetings, like, you know, and a potted history of my alcoholism. And as I say, I drank pretty young. I used to get embarrassed when I first came into it, like saying I drank at 11 years of age. I thought people think I'm making this up, but I actually drank at 11 years of age. We used to have the old cider lorries come into the town with the canvas and that, and we'd slice the canvas open and we'd get the big bottles of Boomer's woodpecker cider. We'd go up the railway tracks and we'd fall about and giggle and laugh. And if it only stayed that way, like, you know, when the other lads moved on from that, got girlfriends and done other stuff, like, I finished up inside in prisons. And, you know, my first 13 and a half, I was sent to Letterfrack up in Galway there, but Mossy be well familiar with, for 2 years. That was 13 till 15 and a half. 6 months in St. Patrick's Institution in Dublin at 16. 6 months in St. Patrick's at 17. And then I thought, it's the town I come from a lovely town, Tralee, and I thought, if I just get away from this town where everyone knows me, I'm kind of marked, and make a fresh start over here in England, like, you know. And I had a great ambition that every Irishman has coming over, I suppose. I'll meet a nice girl, we'll get married, we'll have children, we'll do this, we'll do that. And the reality was, like, I took my illness with me, like, you know, that I drank as soon as I got loneliness. There was an added thing over when I come over here, that loneliness, like, and started drinking over here, and the same thing happened. Like, you know, within a couple of months of being over 60 days in Wormwood Scrubs, followed by 12 months in Canterbury prison, followed by 2 years in a psychiatric prison. That's my alcoholism. That's Brendan when he picks up a drink. So if you work that out mathematically, I would imagine there's about 18 months of drinking and about 7 or 8 years of my freedom taken as a result of, like, so again, if you do the calculations, if it's important, like, you know, if I were not to find a fellowship at the age I did, I probably wouldn't have lasted much longer. You know, such was the condition I was in, like, you know. And I come from a pretty good family, like, you know, my father was an alcoholic, violent alcoholic, but the mother, like, was a lovely, lovely woman who kind of smothered us with love, like, you know. And I can't blame anyone for my alcoholism, but I can certainly say that the alcoholism within the family put a bit of a shape in me, an angry shape in me. I became very, very volatile, very, very angry. And that just carried on into my drinking, like, you know, and that's why I would finish up in all these different places. The psychiatric prison was, I nearly took a life. It was just a knotting situation, and it finished up with someone who actually been on a life support machine for a couple of months, and thank God he pulled through, like, you know, and I got a 2-year prison, and richly deserved, and probably a lot more on top of that, like, you know. I take responsibility for that, like, and how I look at that today, I've got 3 lads myself now, and they go out into the same town. They might have a drink there. They haven't got a problem. They're in their early 40s now, the 3 of them. And I think if someone had done that to one of them, how I would feel about it. And that's how I kind of live my life today. Like, how do other people feel with stuff like that going on? Like, you know, that none of that stuff registered when I was drinking, because I never set out the evening to do any of that stuff. Like, that was a byproduct of me drinking, not being able to control the amount I drank, never having no stop buttons, and more often it didn't happen every time, obviously, but the reality was, like, something was always building up to happen, like, and that was the end result of it all. And I wouldn't change a day of it. All I would change is the circumstances and the people who got injured and on the way through, like, you know. But for the thing itself, like, you know, to be where I am today, like, you know, and I've got a good life today. Like, I've had a good life from most of the time I've been in here, like, and I've had my struggles. I've had health issues that I've had to deal with, because that's the reality of life. I've had a heart attack at a convention over in Spain, playing the squeeze box at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that went on for a couple of days. So I shouldn't be here talking. I should have been gone out then. A couple of weeks after that, I've got cancer diagnosis that sent me to the blackest pit of despair anxiety, depression. I don't even think there's a word that could describe how I felt at that time. So I completely shut down, wrapped myself in blankets, pulled the things over my head, shut the curtains, and a lovely wife there, thank God, to support me. Like, and why I'm saying that, because for any of us, like, we're going to stuff like that. Hopefully, it doesn't happen to anyone here, but in life, you know, rich tapestry, these are the things that happen. These are the things I've got to stay sober to. That's the reason I'm meeting them, like, you know, I'm speaking about it, like, you know. And I got through these things with the support of people around me, like, you know. And my big problem then was I didn't share. My ego wouldn't let me share, because I'm a pretty gregarious character. I'm a pretty well-known and strong lad, I suppose, being the time I've been in and that, like, you know, a lot of respect off of people. But that particular time, I just couldn't fathom out why I was speaking the way, feeling the way I was feeling. Like, you know, I couldn't. There's no sense to it, and I suppose it's post-traumatic stress disorder is the best way I can kind of describe it. Like, and you're facing your mortality, or I thought I was facing my mortality. That's about 10 years ago. So I'm juggling and trying to get stuff done, and is this done? We sell that, buy that, or that sort of thing. Trying to get the family sorted just in case I had weeks left. Like, as it happened, 10 years later, I'm still here with the all clear, like, you know. So I say it as again, I say, for things that'll happen, the kids will play up, and we've had that, you know, car crashes, divorces happen, all sorts of things happen in my recovery, like, you know, thank God no divorce, but yet, I say yet. But I've been able to look at all that, like, you know, and take it on board, feel the pain when it's there, like, but I always knew that, you know, it can only get better. If I'm not drinking, things can only get better, like, you know. And I've learned that from those lovely people who were there in my early days. And I see a lot of my friends go through worse stuff than that, like, you know, and losing their kids, you know, losing their kids to suicide, losing their kids to drugs and all that, like, you know. It's in my family as well. I lost a nephew, 26. He died, overdosed. I got a sister who died from this illness, like chronic alcoholic. And I think her story, like, bad as mine was, like, you know, there's not a competition here, by the way. Bad as mine seemed to be, like, you know, that hers was absolutely horrific. You know, I'm not here to tell her story, and she's passed on to a better place now, hopefully, like, you know. But when I see the suffering that she went through, like, that shows me the disease of alcoholism, like, you know, what I'm actually dealing with. So I suppose, to put that in a nutshell, it's very important that I'm at meetings on a regular basis. Even today, I'm still at 2-3 meetings a week, and I'm blessed to be able to go into the prisons today to carry this message in there, like, you know, and to give the lads that are in there a bit of hope, like, you know. And there's another wake-up call when you go in there. And I go to the women's prison as well and send. When you go in there, like, and you're talking to the lads, and just lads like me, as I was when I was inside there, talking to the lads on the landings, that they're in for murders and double murders and things, and the nicest lads you could meet, like, you know. And there was normally drugs or alcohol, most, not all the time, but a lot of the time, there was, that was a kind of excuse, reason, whatever it was, like, you know. So when I go into there and I see the lads have done 10, 15, 20, 25 years, like, you know, that's what I've been saved from. That would have been me later on, had I still been alive, like, you know. I'd have been telling you about another 10 or 15 years of prison, like, which is not very productive. Like, it's just a wasted life. Like, what I had, I'm glad I wasted in my youth, like, you know, give me a chance to make a life later on, like. And that's what we have today. Like, I'm 46 years married this year. Like, I don't think that happens to normal people these days normally. And that's the fellowship. I say all these things not because how great Brendan is, I say that because how great the fellowship is, like, as our marriage has kept together for all that time, like, you know. And yeah, we've had our ups and downs with the boys and all that, with different addictions and that. But there's one of them in the fellowship at the moment. He's doing well. He had 20 months at one stage, but took his eye off the ball, didn't go to the meetings, and finished up back out there again. But thank God he's back in about 3 months again now, and he's doing well. Cost him his marriage, cost him his home, but thank God he's got another home now. So I suppose he got the same opportunities we all have. He's got the opportunity I had when I come in. Like, you know, I could put 1,000 reasons as to why life is more important and work is more important. I've got to earn money. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. But none of that counts. If I'm not sober, none of that counts. Like, and I have been blessed really to be productive. And I suppose the statement I made earlier on, I was at a meeting earlier, like, you know, and I get to realize my potential in here, like, and my potential is a lot bigger than I ever thought it was, like, you know, because I'm clever or anything like that. because I've got a good work ethic, like, and I can work and I can be available. And when I ran a business for 30 years, I was available 365 days a year. I didn't work all those days, but I had to be available to organise other people, etc. And sobriety allowed me to do that because I wasn't ruled by any clocks or anything. And one thing that didn't suffer in between all is that was my meetings. I still made time for my regular meetings, 3, 4, 5 meetings a week as I was coming through, like, you know. So, and anyone will tell you he's been around for a while. Like, it's the first 2, 3, 4 years, and you're trying to get a balance of what it's all about. The other 30 or 40 years are easy. Like, there's no sacrifice attached in. Like, it's nice. It's just proof that AA continues to work in that respect. Like, you know, but it's achievable, and that's why I say it. Like, it is achievable. Like, when I first came in, I thought, how is this ever going to work? Talking about the more they talked about alcohol, the thirstier I got. Like, and I just wanted to run out of the room. But thank God, those lovely people just kind of hung on to me, like, you know. And I do the same thing today with people, like, you know. It's easy to do service. It's easy to do what I'm asked to do, like, you know, because that's what was done for me, like, you know. And the lovely people I have. Sadly, I've met one of my best mates in the fellowship, if not my best mate. He passed away last year, like, you know, a bit of a shock. We knew kind of the year before he wasn't too healthy and that, like, but sadly he passed away last year, like, you know, and that was sad. He was a lovely, lovely man. We done music and that together. And he's married to a lovely woman in the fellowship. They're about 25, 26 years married in the fellowship. And she's now in a home. We went to see her during the week up in the Midlands, and she's in a home with dementia. Another sad thing. Why am I saying this? Again, we make lovely, lovely, meet beautiful people inside here. We form fantastic relationships, meet great friends. But the downside of that is, sadly, we lose a lot of these on the way, like, you know. And I can look back, and I'm sure some of my local people there would look back and the lovely people we had in our area. Morris, I could name them off, and they'll know who I'm on about. Sheila, Morris, Richard from Ashford, and that. Lovely, lovely people. And we were people who never would have mixed in our real lives. We wouldn't have drank in the same pubs, is enough to say that. Like, we're all alcoholic, but I don't think we'd have frequented the same pubs, like, you know. And those lovely people, like, we just had a rapport with each other, and we were there to help each other and pick each other up, like, when we needed picking up, like, you know. And that's what this fellowship is based on, like, you know. And the steps are very important, of course. Yeah, I've been going to a step meeting for 45 years, I would imagine now, but I don't beat anyone up at the steps, like, and the steps are a personal thing for me, like, and I've got to do it at my own pace, had to do it at my own pace, in the way I saw fit for me, like, you know. And I do read the books. Paul is there, he's there every Monday night at that meeting. And no, sometimes there's 4 or 5 of us, and sometimes there's 15 or 20, but it doesn't really matter. Like, I'm not there for the numbers. I'm not an A for the numbers. I don't need the big exciting meetings. Probably did in the early days, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with them. But I just like an A meeting's an A meeting now. Like, if it's run on the proper lines, I feel comfortable there, like, you know. And that's how simple my program is today. And for doing all that, I get to live this lovely life. I've been blessed. I'm going to Vancouver next. God spares me the health. I'm going to Vancouver next month for the World Convention. I've been to 3 other World Conventions. That's not blowing my own trumpet. It's blowing AA's trumpet, you know. And it says one of our readings there, any success we're having today is far more his success than our success. Like, and I go along with all that. Like, you know, I've had to do the footwork. I've had to be available. I've had to read my books in the early days, like, you know, and less so now, like, but that's not to say I don't need them any less, but most of my stuff is meetings and that, like, you know. And the friends, I've got a wealth of friends, like, we can more or less do conventions together, and it's great. When I think that's very important in the early days, if anyone is in the early days, grab hold of a couple of people, like-minded people that are like you, like people whose company you enjoy, and people you like what you're hearing from them, like, and they're the same people inside in the meeting as they are outside. Oh, sorry, outside of the meeting as they are in the meeting. Like, because sometimes I think we can put a bit of a mask on inside in the meetings. I certainly did in my early days, like, you know. But today, you know, but I just have this lovely life, and it never leaves me. The gratitude never ever leaves me, like, you know. And that is one of the major things of my recovery. And people tell me that you're always grateful. And I think, yeah, I am always grateful. Like, you know, I have a lot to be grateful for, like, and that great life that I've given my family. Like, you know, I said, we've got the nice house, we've got the nice holiday. We had them all over in Portugal there recently, the whole 11, 12 of us. to be able to give them a holiday, like, and improve the quality of their lives, like, you know. So that thing we talk about, throwing the pebble into the pond, like, you know, that ripple effect, like the ripple effect of my dad's alcoholism rippled through our family, tore through our family. There was 14 children, 14 of us in the family. And a lot of the younger ones wouldn't have remembered, like, you know, but the older ones, the first four, five, six maybe, did know all about that. And again, there was excuses for his alcohol, with the sister drowned, pulled out of the river. And then maybe that's part of my stuff as well, like, you know, ecstasy, you know, being pulled out of the field and trying to resuscitate her. And obviously she was 2.5 years of age, and she went. I don't blame that for my alcoholism, but I like sometimes to get the full picture of why I turned out the way I did, like, and I don't make excuses for it today. Like, I'm very happy with who I was and where I am today. Like, you know, there's no battle if this hadn't happened, if that hadn't happened, if I hadn't gone to Letterfrack, if I hadn't gone to St. Patrick's, would it have made a difference? Wouldn't have made any difference whatsoever. No difference whatsoever. That I was destined to be an alcoholic, whatever was in my DNA, if it's done that way, that I'm an alcoholic. I just accept that fact. Like, you know, what's very important, I keep coming back to it, is how I stay sober today. Like, and I stay sober, that, and Dr. Bob says it well, like love and service. You know, I've got to be available. I've got to be available for this fellowship. And I've got to get to my regular meetings for me and not for anyone else. I've got to be doing the best I can. And I've got to, and sometimes unintentionally I might hurt someone, like, but I can't, but my head don't let me get away with that. Now I have to go and apologize and put my hand out and say I'm sorry and mean it, like, you know. And the measure of this lovely program, in the 47 years I've been in, I haven't put my hand on a human being. And that we shouldn't do that anyway. I know, like, most people probably don't. But the nature of the person I was, like, you know, I couldn't argue. I didn't have the capacity to verbalize anything. So any little stuff that rose up, I'd rather do it with my hands than with my mouth, like, you know. But today it's different. I can do it with my mouth today, like, and I've got a vocabulary today, and I can argue my point, like, and I've got a confidence I've never had. I was painfully shy as a youngster, absolutely crippled with blushing and shyness, and there would be reasons for that as well, which I won't go into, like, you know. But I carried the sins of the world on my shoulder, like, and stuff I had made very big was actually very small when I talked to a sponsor about it. And there's another thing I hadn't mentioned: sponsorship, like, you know, listen for a while. Don't just grab someone that's been around for 40 years and think that they're going to get you sober. Sometimes it's someone that's a year around, 18 months around, 2 years. Their quality, you can just listen to the quality in people and say, they've got something I want, like, they've got a way of handling situations, like, you know. So give yourself time to pick a sponsor and pick the right one, like, you know. If it doesn't work out, you've always got the option of picking another one, like, you know. So there we are. I don't know how long I've gone on for, like, you know. I think I've covered on prayer and meditation. I'm in my bedroom at the moment. So every morning I'm on my knees there. I got my little Our Lady picture there. We got Sacred Heart up there that my mum gave. This actually a nun gave me this one about 40 odd years ago. I took my family back to Tralee, and the convent. There was one particular nun. She was a saint, and she used to look after me. I think she saw something in me that needed looking after, like, you know. And I would carry her bag up to the convent after school and things like that. But she gave me this beautiful Our Lady picture in that, like, you know, the Immaculate Heart and that. So just a little prayer. I don't kneel for hours in front of it or anything like that. Like, I'm more of a spiritual person, I like to think, than a religious person. But the Sacred Heart the same. And St. Jude there, like, you know, when I was going through that difficult time, that with the cancer and that, and didn't know where I was, and going from pillar to post emotionally, and just pain. There's more pain than I've ever had in my alcoholism, I might say, like, you know, and because I didn't know where it was going to finish up. Anyway, I used to pray to St. Jude. Pray to the Saint of Hopeless Cases for anyone that doesn't know. And I used to pray to Our Lady of Mount Carmel. So someone gave me a pair of scaffolders I had around my neck. And nice way to finish. And that when I was going through the worst of it, and I was coming out the end of it, I think, that I was going up to Kent, and someone said, "Oh, there's an anniversary meeting on tonight. And would you pop in on the way past, up in Faversham in Kent?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll pop in there." Then went to the meeting, and it was held at the National Shrine of St. Jude in the Church of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Stuff happens in this fellowship. I don't say that to prove or be religious, or people say, "Oh, what a coincidence." It may be a coincidence, but I like to think I was looked after. I'd like to think that someone through all that pain was saying, look, you'll get through this, like, you know, and I have got through it. As I say, I've got the all clear up to today, like, and yeah, in fear of repeating myself, like, you know, that I have a good life. I got a productive life today, and I've done well in life, thank God. Like, as I said, when it goes back to being dependable and people trust you and that, and they trust you to do stuff and timetables and have it to wherever it needs to be at any particular time, like, you know, so that's, I ran my business and that has given me 30 years of a good life. So I've got out a bit earlier, and we do a lot of conventions today. Like, and I will finish on this, that I think it's very important to do conventions. We used to have a lovely one day on Lanzarote. I went 3 years to the Lanzarote one back in the day. And I do one in Cyprus every year. I do one, we do a lot. And again, all these friends, we don't see each other a few times a year, but we all seem to gravitate to Cyprus or Mallorca. We got one in Mallorca this year. I'm not advertising, but just tell you what I do to keep my sobriety fresh and green, like, you know, to keep it green and to keep it enjoyable. And that's what I do, like, you know, thank God I got the ability. Not everyone can do that. I appreciate that as well. I couldn't do it when our kids were young, like, and we certainly didn't have any money when I had 3 young kids and one wage coming in, like, you know, that came later on, thank God. But yeah, I'm blessed to have those lovely people in my life. Like, we just love, and a lot of us going over for the Canadian convention now, like, you know, and that's how I enjoy my sobriety today. And I don't want anything more in life than to be able to do that, like, you know. So if it made any sense to anyone, that I think I've covered everything, the steps, the prayer, and obviously when I go to bed in the evening, I'll do the same thing. I'll just thank God, Immaculate Heart, for a sober day, like, you know, and the great saying we have in this fellowship, a grateful alcoholic needn't ever drink again. So that's Brendan's story today. Good to be here.
Brendan, thanks a million. I got so much from your share. I got too much from your share because I was thinking, right, I'll remember that point there and that point and that point, and it's all gone because you kept adding stuff onto it. So I'm identifying with you. I came from a dysfunctional home, and it was just mayhem from day one. My father was a powerful man. That's why I didn't end up going through the court system the way I should have done. There was cops bribed, there was reporters bribed, everybody got bribed to keep the good name of the family, as you do. And but you know, what I didn't get away with was the guilt, shame, and remorse that I carried with me everywhere. I just love being sober. Absolutely love being sober. I love what this fellowship will do for you if you give it a chance. And you said something. I was carried once. I spent 4 years going in and out, and when I came back the last time, people could see the hunger in me, I think. And once I had the hunger, I was carried along, and people showed me how to stay sober through any and all conditions. And you know, I came in here hating myself. Today I love myself. But I'm so grateful to Alcoholics Anonymous for the life I have today. And the people that's in my life. No matter where I go, I'm surrounded by love. And I never had that my whole life. But I have it here. I feel a part of this. So I wish everybody well. And I'm glad, you know, I'm glad to be me today. I was working with someone this morning, and they were the only person that I've ever heard say that they used to headbutt mirrors because they hated the other person the other side. And that's what I did. I've broken more mirrors. I should never have had the look that I have today. But I have it anyway. I love being sober. Over and out. Take it away there, Mick.
Thank you, Mossy. Thank you, Brendan. Fantastic share. You know, my name's Mick and I am an alcoholic, or I wouldn't be here, would I? You know, I was just listening to you, Brendan, and I was listening to Mossy then. You know, the gifts we are given in this fellowship beyond our wildest dreams. You know, I never thought I'd be who I am today. As a child, I had this ease and that, and I was always in trouble, juvenile delinquent. I never went to Borstal, but it was only one more case, and I would have been. You know, and I hear people tell them say about their traumatic childhoods. My parents had a traumatic parenthood with me. You know, I was always in trouble. Then there was three of us who were drinking a lot and in trouble. You know, they stood no chance. But coming into this fellowship, see, I blamed them. I blamed the way they brought me up. And coming into this fellowship, you people showed me there was a different way of life, and I had to learn to twist all my thoughts around. And I saw that my parents had done the best they could with what they had. You know, and this fellowship, what a life I have today. The gifts I've been given in this fellowship, you know. And you're on about your cancer and that. See, I was ill 3 years ago, and they told me I'd most probably die. And I thought when they told me, I didn't think, poor me, poor me. I thought, because of this fellowship, if I'm going to die, I'm going to live the best life I can. And that's what I do today. I've been in prisons and done lots of different services because that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me sober, you know, because they told me when I came in, they put their arms around me and said, you know, how's your gratitude? And I said it was good. And they said, well, this is what you will do. And they didn't mess about in those days. You were told this is what if you want what we have, you will do this. And I did. And I worked very hard because I wanted to be sober. Not at first, not at first. Dry drunk for a long, long time. But it gave me my wife back. My children came back with her, you know. And I had the gift of watching them grow up. And I had a son who was a drunk and an addict, but he's all right today, you know. And I've got grandchildren that love me, you know. And I'm a lucky person through the gift of this fellowship. And all I have to do is go to meetings. I do lots of meetings, still do. I do Zoom and 4 live meetings a week, you know. And I'm okay today. That's me.
And the yellow card. Who you see here?
What you hear here,
When you leave here.
let it stay here for the safety of us and the group.
Thank you, Mick. And I just want to thank all the co-hosts that have been working here in the background, keeping the room safe. Thank Mick for being my sidekick. And Kathleen is the timekeeper. And of course, Brendan, I couldn't forget you. You've made the meeting so special. And anyone that's new to us, stick around. We're a friendly enough crew. Everyone except Mick, you know. But that's it, guys, from me. There's a load more messages coming in here for you, Kira. Yeah, we'll get you to wrap up with this hereditary prayer, Brendan.
Lovely. Well, thank you all for my sobriety. What a fantastic meeting. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and great sharing back. And I forgot to mention I've got 6 grandkids as well. How could I let them out?
So have I. Hey!
And
full of mischief. But yeah, great to be on here. And how blessed are we? How blessed are we to have this lovely, with all the aches and pains in life that we all get. We get through them. We get through all this. I know it's early days for a few people here. But we all had early days. We all struggled, and none of us came in here jumping for joy that we found a fellowship. It takes a while to appreciate what we have inside here. If you'd like to help me close the meeting, please, with the Serenity Prayer, using the word God you choose to understand. God,
of
serenity to
accept
accept the things we cannot
change,
change,
courage
courage
to
to
change the things I
make
can,
the
is
difference.
wisdom.
wisdom to know the difference.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Brendan,
Do
for
you
a
want to go
fantastic
in the
meeting.
breakout room?
Thank
Sierra?
you, Sierra. You'll get better. You will. Just
Do
do
you want
one
to
of the
go in the
rooms.
breakout
Go to
room,
as many
Sierra?
meetings as you can.